Hey there, it's me Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description.
Mom came in carrying scissors, a comb, and some gel. She told me to sit on the toilet. She started combing my hair. When she picked up the scissors, I started to argue with her. She was in no mood to argue. She became authoritative and I became obedient. She combed my hair with a 1/3 part. Then she started trimming it so that my hair was long on top and short on the bottom. She complained that she should have used some highlights on my hair the night before. I sat in silence, my hands folded on my lap, glad that she didn't. After she finished cutting my hair, she worked on it with a blow dryer and brush. She kept teasing it out, trying to make my hair look fuller. She brushed some strands forward. She wanted them to hang down to my eye. When my hair was dry, she worked a lotion into it. My hair started to become stiff. She then told me she would finish it after I was dressed. I looked in the mirror before going into my room. What do you think? I could hear the pride in her voice. My hair was interesting. It was a feminine style, but somewhat wild. My hair looked messy and at the same time styled. Mom amazed me. I was surprised Mom gave me such a wild style. I knew several girls who will probably be jealous. Their mothers would never let them out of the house with this hairstyle. Again, I was caught between being nice to Mom and telling her the truth. What she had done looked great for a girl, but it was not for me. I never would have suspected you could do this. I tried not to sound negative. She made a strange comment. We should have been doing this all along. She saw I was questioning her statement. The doctors promised me a girl. You were supposed to be Caitlin Marie. I could see she was thinking back. Your father and I were both surprised. We didn't even have a boy's name picked out. She went back to thinking about the past. He was a very proud man that day. Deep down, I think he wanted a son. She sounded hurt. I thought, and I am letting him down. I asked a question I often wondered about. Why didn't you have a girl, another baby? We sat in silence for a minute before she answered. Your birth was a difficult one. I thought she was going to tear up. You're all the joy we need. My first thought from her comment was, all these years Mom had been thinking about what could have been. It was kind of sad and sick. I now understood why Mom was enjoying all of this, the shopping, talking fashion, and just having a daughter to dote over. I felt torn between my parents, as if I had to choose who should be happy. I decided I could give Mom a day. I would survive and Dad would get over it in time. I better get dressed, I told Mom, feeling a little more excited about the day. Call me if you need help. She forced a smile. Everything was laid out on my bed. I dropped the robe and slipped on the black underwear. It was a different style. They were made of lace and cut like a very short cut shorts. Like the pink underwear, they felt very soft against my skin. I quickly slipped on the black pantyhose as Mom showed me. I want to put the bra on, but it was different than the pink one from the night before. It had padded cups, thin straps, and it hooked on. I tossed it back on the bed and put my skirt on. Mom, can you help me with my bra? I asked her partly because I needed help and partly because I thought it would make her happy. Mom must have been waiting in the hall. She appeared a second after the words left my mouth. Sure, dear. She was delighted to help me. I picked the bra up and handed it to her. She instructed me on how to put a bra on. She then adjusted the straps for a proper fit. Looking down and seeing budding breasts was a strange sight for me. I wondered how kids in school would react to them. It is one thing to dress in girls' clothes. It is an entirely different statement to present yourself as a girl. I started to protest. Mom, was all I said when she started talking. Wait to see the difference this bra makes with the top. I realized my error last night when you first tried the top on. A girl your age would have certain assets. She held up the black top for me. I'm sorry I cut you off. Did you want to ask me something? I looked at her. She looked so happy. I thought, what the heck, it is only for a day. I was just going to thank you. She smiled, finished getting dressed. She helped me with my top. Having a different chest shape, even a small one, changed how the top fit me. It was snug and looked more stylish. I wanted to put my blouse on to try to make it less noticeable. I wondered if girls became embarrassed or proud when their bodies started to change. I assumed proud, but that did not change how I felt. I wanted to hide it. After I sat on the bed to put my shoes on, Mom gave me my second lesson on proper posture. "Dear, when you sit, you need to tuck your skirt," she told me as she demonstrated. "Now you try." I stood, then sat again, tucking my skirt. I looked at her for approval. "And never sit carelessly. That is not proper. Cross your legs," she said while crossing her legs. "Or you can cross them at your ankles and keep your knees together." I did both as she instructed. "Remember," she rested her hand on my lap, "always sit with grace. You don't want to give the wrong impression." "Mom, that was embarrassing." She kissed me on the cheek. "Sorry, dear." I sat on the bed and bent to the floor to slip my shoes on. I had a hard time slipping them on. Once I had the shoes on, I stood. "What do you think?" "First, you need your belt." I slipped the belt on. "When you stand, stand straight. Don't slouch." I straightened. "Don't fold your arms across your chest." "How's this?" I dropped my arms and tried to appear confident. She stood there looking at me. "What's wrong?" I thought she was going to cry. "Nothing. Let's get your makeup on." She turned away. She had me follow her into their bedroom. She told me to sit at her dresser. I sat, tucking my skirt. Then I crossed my ankles and pulled them under the stool. I set my hands on my lap. It was a comfortable position. "I'm all yours." Mom smiled. "You know, we would have more time if I drove you to school." I did not need to ponder the offer. Okay. It was a relief not having to walk or ride the bus. "Oh, wait, Kevin." I promised him I would ride the bus with him. I hate to leave him alone. I knew I wouldn't want to be ditched dressed like this. "We can pick him up." Mom handed me my purse. "You try putting your lipstick on while I make the call." I took the lipstick out of my purse. I remembered what the sales lady did last night. I leaned in close to the mirror and applied my lipstick. After I applied it, I took out the small brush. I followed the edge of my lips. Applying makeup was easier than I expected. "You're a natural," Mom said. "We will take Kevin. Mrs. Harris will pick the two of you up after school." "Thanks, Mom." This was one time I did not mind having Mom give me a ride. "Honey, do you like the way you look?" I could not tell from her tone if she was asking, "Do you like how I dressed you?" or was she asking, "Do you like dressing up?" It felt like a trick question. I had to be careful how I answered. "I like what you bought me." I never got the "but" statement out. "I'm so glad you like your outfit." I worried. She paused. "That doesn't matter. I think you'll be the most stylish one in school today." I was glad she did not call me something else. I tried to calm the fear that was starting to come over me. Being the most stylish wasn't necessarily a good thing. "Thanks, Mom." I only had a few more hours to go, and my life would be back to normal. I told myself I can do this. I sat in the chair while Mom worked on my face. She had me try my hand at applying highlighter and mascara. Applying makeup to my eyes was more of an art form than doing my lips. Mom had to fix everything I had done. Once she was finished, she had me repack my purse. Then she walked me over to her full-length mirror. She stood behind me, a proud mother. I saw what she saw, the daughter she never had. "I'm glad you decided to participate in the day's activity." She set her hands on my shoulders and gave me a small squeeze with a smile. I thought, what the heck? I did what any child would do. I turned and gave Mom a hug. It had been some time since I hugged Mom. Hugging is not something teenage boys are supposed to do. You're expected to hug your aunts and grandmother, but not your mom. I sensed my action delighted her. I felt the warmth and love in her hug. I wondered why I had stopped hugging her. Mom did all the talking on the drive to Kevin's house. I was not ignoring her. I was nervous. I am usually quiet, and in school, I am often nervous. Not a fidgety nervous, where you bounce your knee constantly, but an untrusting nervous. I learned early on that most kids are unpredictable. There were only a few kids like Kevin, kind ones. The kind of friends you'd want to have. We pulled into their driveway. Mrs. Harris hugged Kevin at the door. He was wearing a denim skirt with a pink top and a white blouse. I was relieved to see that he was also using enhancements. I did not want to be the only one with a different silhouette. Watching him walk to the car was like watching someone with perfect posture. It was strange, but I saw a different version of Kevin. He had long blonde hair that he parted in the middle. He usually tucked his hair behind his ears. Now he had bangs, and it curled in slightly. Mom rolled down the window and waved to Mrs. Harris. Kevin looked back. When he turned back around, he flipped his hair smoothly. I wondered how people would see me. Would they see a different version of me, or would they see someone just playing dress-up? "Hi, Mrs. Troy. Hi, Lynn." Kevin's voice sounded soft and innocent. "Hey," I replied. "Hi, Kevin. You look great today." Mom was also taken aback by how put together Kevin looked. Kevin beamed a smile. "Thank you." He opened the door. When he sat, he tucked his skirt, then swung his legs into the car. His knees never parted. After he shut the door, he flipped his hair again. I could not help thinking it. He truly embraced the look. The ride was different than usual. We all talked. However, Mom did not ask questions. She complimented Kevin on his hair and makeup. Kevin complimented her on what she did with my hair. I felt I should give a compliment back, but it felt awkward. Mom pulled up to the drop-off zone. I saw Gail and Sue waiting for us. I suddenly became very nervous. I did not want to leave the car. Kevin got out and waved to the girls. They each gave excited squeals and ran over to him. I looked to see how many kids were now looking our way. Sue and Kevin hugged. Gail looked at me still sitting in the car. Mom put her hand on my shoulder. "Go ahead, dear. I can't do this. Your friends are waiting. You'll be fine." Gail opened the car door. "Hi, Mrs. Troy. Hi, Lynn." "Hey, you coming?" Gail held her hand out to help me out of the car. "Don't forget Mrs. Harris will pick you two up after school," Mom reminded me as I got out of the car. Gail hugged me when I stood. Then she held my hand and stepped back to look at me. "Wow, you look amazing." Sue then complimented us on our appearance. I didn't think the girls looked any different than usual. They were wearing jeans and t-shirts. However, I did notice that Gail wasn't letting go of my hand. I looked around. "Have you seen Tim?" "He's inside," Sue said. "What is he wearing?" Kevin asked. "We kind of left him on his own." He sounded apologetic. "Don't worry about him. He's in jeans and a t-shirt." "He backed out," Gail stated. I thought, now he's going to think I'm weak. I didn't know why that mattered, but I didn't want people to see me that way. It was okay if Kevin was more comfortable with this, but I wasn't. Gail tugged my hand. "Come on, let's go." It was comforting to have Gail hold my hand. We walked together into the building. Gail, Sue, and Kevin chatted. I think everyone could see that Kevin was a natural at embracing the look. I hoped that since Gail and I were holding hands, kids would see me as her boyfriend. I spotted Tim talking with some of the football players. They chuckled as they looked over at us. Tim walked up to us. "Look at the dress-up squad." I thought we had a pact, I said, unable to hide my annoyance. My dad said that only weaklings would wear girls' clothes. "I'm no weakling," he scoffed. His words stung. But more than that, the way he laughed, mocking and cruel, hurt the most. I thought we were friends. Gail urged me to walk away, but I wanted to lash out at him. My hands clenched into fists. Tim noticed and squared his shoulders, ready for a confrontation. "You got something to say?" he challenged. I did, but I wasn't in a position to fight. I was furious, but I turned and walked away with Gail, refusing to give him the reaction he wanted. I heard Tim's voice behind me, loud enough for everyone to hear. That's what I thought. The last thing I wanted was to be seen crying. This wasn't the time to break down. I needed to stay strong. The day was filled with mixed emotions. Only a handful of boys participated in the event. I had assumed, maybe even hoped, that more would have joined in. Since so few did, I started to wonder if I was different. As I walked down the hallway, I noticed heads turning. I wasn't sure if that was a good or bad thing. When kids mocked me, I found myself questioning if they were right. But when I received compliments, I felt a strange sense of confidence. Whenever I was with Gail, Sue, or Kevin, I felt secure. But when I was alone, I struggled to keep my head up, fighting the urge to disappear. At one point, I felt ashamed of myself, not for what I was wearing, but for what I didn't do. I saw the boy from the mall wearing a flowery dress. A group of boys had cornered him, taunting him. I knew I should help him. I knew it was the right thing to do. but fear held me back. I walked past, keeping my head down, doing nothing. Every time I saw Kevin, he was walking, talking, and laughing effortlessly, fully embracing the role. If I hadn't known him, I never would have suspected he was a boy. I wondered how others saw me. I wished I could see myself through their eyes, because I didn't want them to mistake me for someone I wasn't. Mrs. Harris picked us up as planned. I assumed she would take me home, but instead, I went to their house. She told me my mom would pick me up later. When we got there, she told Kevin not to change. It wouldn't be fair to me. I didn't think Kevin minded. We spent the time in his room playing video games. It didn't matter how we were dressed. We were still Kevin and Lynn, best friends hanging out. Though I did notice that when Kevin returned from the bathroom, his lipstick had been freshened. Mom picked me up late. She and Mrs. Harris talked for almost an hour. Kevin and I sat in the living room watching TV. I tried to eavesdrop, but they spoke softly. Time to go, Mom finally announced. I grabbed my book bag, remembering to bend at the knees. As I reached the door, I realized I had forgotten my purse. Just a second, I forgot my purse. As soon as the words left my mouth, it dawned on me what I had just said. I felt like I needed to explain myself. Kevin handed me my purse without hesitation and walked me to the door. We said our goodbyes. As we walked to the car, Mom asked me about my day. I told her Tim hadn't dressed up. I hadn't planned on mentioning what he said, but she kept pressing. Eventually, she reassured me, "You're better off with true friends like Kevin, Sue, and Gail." Dad wasn't home when we arrived. Mom told me to change quickly because we were going out to dinner. As I hurried to my room, she called after me, "Wear something nice and put your clothes in the laundry." Alone in my room, I stood in front of the mirror. I thought about the day. I thought about Mom's question, "Did you have fun?" I shrugged. "I guess." Then I looked at my reflection again. "Did you?" As far as I knew, my parents had moved on from cross-dress day. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. It sounds silly, but I wondered if I had changed. The reason I questioned it was because Kevin had changed. It was as if he had fully embraced something new. He still dressed like Kevin, but his mannerisms had softened, becoming more feminine. Tim and his friends had started calling him names. I didn't want them to do the same to me. My skirts and blouses still hung in my closet. My bra and underwear sets were neatly folded in my dresser. Every time I saw them, I thought about that day. And every time I thought about that day, I felt something strange, a kind of happiness. That feeling confused me. It made me feel guilty. I started wondering not about how I looked, because I already knew I looked good, but about how I felt. If I dressed up again on my own, without Gail or anyone else around, would I still feel that same joy? Would it change me? I didn't have to wait long to find out. On Saturday, my parents planned a dinner and movie night. Mom hesitated, worried about leaving me out, but I assured her I'd be fine. In truth, their night out gave me the opportunity one needed. I waited 30 minutes after they left before putting my plan into action. Since it had only been a few days, I didn't need to shave again. I went to my room and stripped out of my slacks and shirt. I pulled out my black underwear. Then I hesitated. I guess part of me wasn't ready to know how this would make me feel. Or maybe I was afraid of the answer. What if the comfort, the calmness, the joy I remembered was real? I slipped them on. It felt good, but it wasn't quite the feeling I was looking for. I adjusted things so my shape looked right, then took out my padded bra. Just as Mom had taught me, I put it on. I looked in the mirror. Seeing the slight curve of my chest filled me with an odd sense of pride. And that worried me. Doubt crept in. Maybe I had already answered my own question. Still, I wasn't done. I pulled on my black pantyhose. Then my pleated skirt, my favorite one. I paired it with my off-red top and white blouse. I stood in front of the mirror again. The red top hung a little too loosely. I switched to my black top. That was better. It hugged my torso, accentuating my chest. The usual nervousness I carried disappeared. It was replaced by something else. That feeling. That same feeling I had before. A mix of peace and excitement. I wondered, did Kevin feel the same way? I wondered, did Kevin feel the same way? Determined to finish what I started, a complete transformation, I went into my parents' room to apply my makeup. But something about being in their room brought on a wave of guilt. I sat staring at my reflection in the mirror, lost in thought. Who am I? What am I? What am I doing? I had never applied makeup before. The realization made me uneasy. I felt like I was becoming someone my dad could never be proud of. That thought stung. And the fact that it hurt so much worried me even more. Feeling dejected, I returned to my room and changed back into my usual clothes. I vowed then and there that I would never wear girls' clothes again. The meeting was at Kevin's house. After it ended, Mom and Mrs. Troy stayed back to chat, giving Kevin and me time to play video games. While we played, I noticed that Kevin still had his girl clothes hanging in his closet. I realized we had never talked about that day. I wanted to say something to let him know I didn't care if he liked dressing that way, but how do you even start that conversation? Kevin spoke first. You still have your clothes? What? Do you still have your skirts and stuff? His voice softened. Oh, yeah. The kidney people haven't come yet. He looked confused. The Kidney Foundation, I explained. They collect second-hand clothes, then sell them to raise money. Oh, right. He paused. So you're giving yours away? Yeah, I hesitated. Are you keeping yours? Why? I just thought. I suddenly felt like this was getting too personal. I thought you might keep yours. Why do you think that? His tone wasn't defensive, just curious. I don't know. I just thought you had fun, as a girl. Kevin stared at me. He looked like he wanted to say something, but he hesitated. The game had ended, but neither of us restarted it. We just sat there in silence. Finally, Kevin broke it. Gail and Sue thought you really enjoyed being a girl, he said. They asked me to ask you if you'd want to go as a girl for Halloween. The two of us, you and me, with them. He paused. So, what do you think? My first thought was of the promise I made. I don't know, I said. I was just asking. It could be fun, he said, hopeful. I don't think my mom would let me. I wasn't sure if that was the truth or just an excuse. Let you do what? Mom's voice came from the doorway. Kevin answered before I could. We were talking about going as girls for Halloween. That's a great idea. Mom said, instantly excited. I wanted to protest, but it was too late. I should have said Dad wouldn't allow it. I didn't know what to do. Mom didn't understand. She didn't know how I felt about dressing like a girl. She didn't understand the fear that came with it. But she just kept suggesting ideas for costumes. It looked like I was going to be a girl for Halloween. A goth girl, I finally said, giving in. That sounds cool. I glanced at Kevin. Yeah, I like that, he said. Thanks, Mrs. Troy.
Please subscribe my channel for the next part. And visit my Patreon page for early access.